track record away from actually coaching football is pretty bad. He's an outstanding football coach in mind, but from his family situation to Michael Vick and on, he's so focused on foot. He's the absolute example of something that is the not-so-great side of football, that football people are completely consumed with football. They love it. They're so into it. It's an intricate game that you can completely dive into to the complete lack of external awareness.
Let's take a break. I'll come back. I want to ask you. I want to pose that question in a different way about Andy Reid.
Right.
We'll do that next. Danny Klinkskill is with us. We're doing a little Chiefs talk here with Danny Klinkskill. Danny Unleashed, brought to you by Easton Roofing.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
We're here with Joe Spiker, the president of Easton Roofing. And Joe, you worked for other companies in the construction industry. What inspired you to start your own company in Easton Roofing?
Well, you know, Danny, when you are working for somebody else, you oftentimes don't get to see the project through from beginning to end, and you don't get the final control over the customer experience. And I wanted to build a place where people can come and get work done on their house and not have to worry about being treated the wrong way and get a good customer service experience start to finish.
The company slogan is "Where Integrity Matters." Why is that so particularly important to you?
Well, for us, what that means is treating each other with respect at work, treating our clients with respect, and making the right choice, especially when no one's looking. So when you're presented all the time as a contractor with choices that have to be made, are you going to make more money on this if you cut a corner? And we just wanted to make a place and a slogan that said to our people and to whoever is our customer, we're not going to do that. We're going to make the right choice regardless of profit.
Easton Roofing, where integrity matters.
Danny Klinkskill with us, Danny Unleashed. He's brought to you by Easton Roofing. Don't forget, it did hail around the city. A lot of roofers are knocking on doors and giving inspections and saying it's damaged. And just if the insurance adjuster comes out and you don't need a roof, that still counts as a claim and can be a problem for you in the future. Let Easton Roofing give you an honest assessment of your roof and make sure that you are in a good situation moving forward. Free inspection from Easton Roofing. They will come tell you the truth and let you know if all you need is a tune-up or maybe nothing at all. Make sure you have damage before you turn in a claim and cause yourself big problems down the road when you really do have real problems. Go to eastonroofing.com for more info or call 913-257-5426. We're live at Hen House here in the Harry's Brewery section where you can get the real beer now. They got you covered. Everything you need and every brand is here. Best selection anywhere is at your neighborhood Hen House. We're here at 135th and Metcalf, northeast corner. Danny, you mentioned about Andy Reid. Is it possible that Andy Reid is just trying to save too many people? Like you're looking at it saying he's grabbing guys just for football reasons, and in reality he's taking at-risk guys in an effort to try to save them.
I'd like to think so, but I don't.
Possible.
It is possible,
okay.
Yes. But I just think he's a person who is ultra-focused on football. I think we've seen that in his personal life, and it's not unusual. It doesn't make him unusual by National Football League standards. People openly talk about never leaving the office, sleeping at the office. You know, they are, in this day and age, with all the technology that's available, the hours should be shorter for football coaches. They aren't. They constantly are thinking that somebody else is watching one more play, one more set of downs that they aren't, or creating one more offensive set that they aren't. And that's what we often know in sports, that what makes people great on the field does not necessarily make them great off the field. From people like Michael Jordan, and there's other people who seemingly can handle it. Say Peyton Manning seems to have lived a relatively normal life while being one of the biggest superstars in the game. And it seems like a relatively down-to-earth guy who's been able to handle his personal life and everything else and be fantastically great. Tom Brady, someone who's taken it maybe more in an oddball situation and sought out all kinds of different ways to live his life and be fit and all that other stuff. Everybody has their way of being great, and for some, it's just complete immersion into the task at hand.
Yeah, Andy Reid is the only one that really knows.
Right,
inside.
Sure.
The Chiefs cannot take an at-risk player in this draft.
I think I heard you correctly in saying that it's probably almost got to be a couple of years before they are going to be able to go down this particular road.
They've got to build up some equity.
And by the way, is the phrase, can we just jettison the phrase due diligence? You just sound like an idiot forever. And I'll give one example of why due diligence is a stupid phrase. Has anybody ever sat at a podium and had the question out, hey, Jones was available in the second round there, and you really love wide receivers, and, well, we did our due diligence and decided we weren't going to go down that road. They never use it to say why they aren't going to do something, only when they've just signed this guy who's, a crackhead or something, I mean. Well, we've done our due diligence, to use a phrase that you use, or not a phrase.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's just something to say. Well, we've done our, what we've decided is that this ticking bomb might not go off, so let's bring it into the front room and see if it works. I mean, it's just due diligence my ass.
So 3 hours from now, when that term is used.
Exactly.
It might wait till tomorrow. I'll go back to something we talked about last week. I'm still going to say, on a football standpoint, the fifth round is where you make those gambles.
And 3 years of ultra-productive football for a fifth-round pick, even if he is cut now, was probably a good draft pick, unfortunately.
I'm going to say the problem is that they, in front of it, had to release Kareem Hunt.
Mm-hmm.
And the third round was too early to take him. We pointed out Tyreek Cohen and James Conner went after him. Those are two running backs that could have been here, that have been very productive for the Steelers and or which way did I say it? For the Bears for Cohen and
right.
Conner for the Steelers.
And are better football players than anybody the Chiefs have on their roster right now.
Yeah,
but running backs.
Yeah, and they could have been taken instead of Kareem Hunt.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what we don't know was, did Kareem Hunt actually come up as a not that at-risk player? We know he had a suspension in college. We know they ultimately got it wrong. But, if they didn't have Kareem Hunt released last year in front of this would be the first incident.
Right.
Right? And it'd be like, okay.
Unless you go for this group.
Yeah.
You're going back to Javon Belcher. But
that's for this management group.
Right, exactly.
So for right here, we sit and we say, okay, you told us all to trust you when you drafted the guy, and it's gone wrong. And, by the way, in between, you also had to release another player for violence against women. And I don't want to hear poo-pooed about the kick wasn't that hard. Never in my life has the concept of taking my foot and putting it near a woman to nudge her over, kick her over, or kick the crap out of her ever entered into my head. So I don't want to hear it graded down.
Also, the way he went back at her repeatedly.
Yes.
I mean, that was so it was grotesque. And just imagine if you had video of what we heard about on the audio. A man imploring his 3-year-old son to keep his arms wide so he can punch him in the chest. I mean, just think if you had to see that. I don't even want to think about looking at it. It'd be like one of those things when I go to the movies and a scene is coming up and I know the horse is going to get his leg ripped off or something. I'm like, well, I ain't looking. I'm looking away.
Right.
Tell me what happens. Just awful.
Yeah, it is. And now the Chiefs have to pick up the pieces and go from here. Yep. We will do that next. We'll take a break, come back, and talk a little bit about where the Chiefs do go in this draft. They have picks 61 and 63.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
We're here with Joe Spiker of Easton Roofing. And, Joe, oftentimes people will wait to replace their roof until there is a weather event. What should they know about that?
Well, Danny, the important thing to remember is if you're going to turn in a claim to your insurance company, you want to make sure that you actually have damage on your home. If you turn in a claim to your insurance company and they send an insurance adjuster out, it's going to be a claim whether they give you $1 or $10,000. So it's important to make sure that you actually have damage on your home before you turn that claim in. And all you have to do is give us a call. We'll come out, take a look, and make sure there's real damage, and we'll tell you if there's not. Maybe it's just a small repair and it's not worth a claim. So it's always smart to get somebody you trust to make sure there's damage before you turn in a claim.
Quality advice and guidance from Easton Roofing, where integrity matters.
Danny Klinkskill is here. Danny Unleashed, always brought to you by our good friends at Easton Roofing. Joe and his squad do an incredible job. Repairs coming next week. In fact, just chatted before you got here. Weather is maybe going to be an issue. So we've got some repairs we're doing to our roof. If you've been told that you got hail damage, be careful. Let Easton give you a free inspection, because if you put in a bunch of fake claims, that ends up costing you problems on down the road. There are a lot of people. It hails a little bit, all of a sudden roofers are knocking on your door going, hey, let us, and they're just rolling the dice, hoping the insurance company will say yes, and then they got a roofing job.
Called door knockers, I believe.
Door knockers?
Yes.
Is that what they are?
I think that's what they're referring to.
I like it. Door knockers. So be careful. Easton will be happy to come out and give you the truth about your roof and make sure that you are not sideways with your insurance. So call Easton Roofing today at 913-257-5426. Remember the website, eastonroofing.com. Danny, where do they go? Let's talk a little actual football here with the Kansas City Chiefs.
I think all along you've mentioned that Andy Reid is so defensive line or front seven centric in his drafting. They certainly have needs there still, even with Frank Clark in the fold, but they have a variety of places to go. When your defense is as god-awful as the Chiefs has been, you can use defensive help even if it's at an area where you feel relatively comfortable with. They certainly still need safeties and corners, and now possibly they need a wide receiver. They pretty much need, it sounds – a football team's always in flux, and even a really good football team can use help. About the only thing you just drop your jaw is if they drafted a quarterback with a second-round pick.
Yeah. A quarterback is not where they're going to go.
No.
And offensive tackle
right.
that early, I don't think, unless it's I actually think Reisner could be on their radar screen because he can play all along the line.
They like that.
They like that. So if they do take an offensive lineman, it'll be on the interior side. Listen, yesterday there were 15 guys. Let me make sure. 4, 8, 14, 15 guys taken in the front seven.
Yeah, and I think it was like maybe 15 of the first 22 or something like that. Or, it was some 2/3 of the first 25 picks or something were front seven, yeah.
1 corner, 2 safeties, and 2 wide receivers. So from that standpoint, the draft seems to be going their way. I'll say this. If they're not going to take a defensive lineman, I think there are still guys. Ferguson from Louisiana Tech is one of them, for sure, that I think could be looked at here coming up pretty soon. But
the way it's shaken out, it seems like if they're going to get the value that teams are generally looking for, it seems like defensive secondary is an area that hasn't been plucked pretty clean yet.
I agree. I think corner is going to be where they end up going with at least one of the picks, because I think the wide receivers are going to start flying off the board. And I think you're going to see a big run on wideouts. I think it really started with the Patriots. Now they got a day to look at it, and they're like, okay.
Everybody was still waiting because they probably felt comfortable with, the 4th wide receiver is good enough for us. This is a talented bunch, but and so you don't. If you think the 4th or 5th best one is okay, and nobody's picked one at all yet, then you can just say, let's go somewhere else.
The Patriots, had they completed the trade that they were said to be working on, where a team was going to come in and take Drew Lock, that would have helped the Chiefs, because it would have meant that N'Keal Harry didn't go, and so maybe the wideout run doesn't get started.
Now.
And so some teams keep going, well, we can wait. And now I think they're going to start coming off the board. So I don't know that there's going to be a guy, Butler from Iowa State, tremendous athlete, but not super productive.
Right.
Same thing with DK Metcalf. Metcalf, even better athlete. I think the guys that Andy Reid would take is maybe Deebo Samuel at South Carolina. Looks like a Sammy Watkins type of guy. Paris Campbell at Ohio State. Looks kind of like a Tyreek Hill kind of guy. Those are the guys I'd be looking for. If I'm a Chiefs fan, once those two come off the board, I don't think it's going to be wide out as much as they clearly need one now.
And just before we run out of time, clearly you must feel like somebody's going to get a steal in Drew Lock because you thought he was the most NFL-ready
I
quarterback.
did. I also had a wager with Alex Schiffer that he wouldn't go in the first round. Now, that was made months ago, and I really thought I was going to lose that. And I didn't. I won. I'm not happy